This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. There any additions or corrections to the agenda?
We have one addition. Our new business will have a letter from Mr. Bob Howley about possibly joining the EDA.
Oh,
That'll go under 7B.
A 7B, new EDA potential new member. Any other additions or corrections? If not, I'll make a motion we approve the agenda. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion passed. Minutes on November 16th.
Not present, you could add me.
Also, Jennifer wasn't here last time either, was she? It was the time before, I thought.
let's think.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yeah, so this must be a list from the October meeting.
Yep,
'Cause
I
the last
wasn't at
section-
the
Right.
I wasn't at the November meeting, so I left I forgot about the attendance, so I'll switch that over.
Okay, we'll cross Jennifer Luster of the Blue Duck Kitchen out of the present, and we will add Brian Haugen to the not present list. Any other corrections or additions? If not, is there a motion to approve? I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion's passed.
You're waiting for me to make that motion, huh?
It's just you and me, buddy. Nobody else seems to want to be here, so. All right, moving on to the monthly financial reports.
Which I did not till right now. We don't have a monthly financial report at this time. Two reasons. Number one is the turnover of the system. And secondly, Kim's not here today. And I switched this meeting to Monday, not doing my due diligence on Friday to get that information, but she's still, our next meeting she'll have the financial report. Because they were training and it's not been it hasn't been a week full of free time, and that's for sure.
Any questions regarding that? Comments? We'll move on. Public hearings, none. Old business. Blue Duck update.
All right, so what we got with Blue Duck, ladies and gentlemen. I called Jennifer and offered her the $50,000 loan at 1%. And as I stated, on the initial response was not accepting. I believe they thought a grant was going to come from the city. And I told her of the loan possibilities. And at the time on the phone wasn't the most receptive to that. I think she was surprised by it. So it kind of, say it was disappointing to hear her say that. It did not in any way say that they are not going to put a restaurant there. That's not what I'm saying. So I called her on Friday, and I guess as an EDA, this is the thing I want to ask you is what could we offer them? Could we expand the offer in a loan form up to maybe 75,000? They are, after talking to her on Friday, I believe she will, and her partner will take the loan when the time comes. It was a little bit different. I think she had some time to talk to her business partner about it, and just get an idea of what they were looking at financially. one of the sticking points with them is they want to get a nice big kitchen hood for their kitchen down there. And one of their thoughts is that the city would buy the hood. And it's like $75,000 for the hood, like lower end hood, 75 to 100 grand. And I stated, I said, well, I don't think the city would purchase a hood. It's going to be in that building. It's going to improve that building. But like I said, after speaking with her, she's a little bit more open. So I guess what I'm asking you guys, if you have any ideas of possibilities, but maybe if we expand the amount of money, and the last time I spoke to Kim, it's a possibility to like maybe $70,000. We did offer them deferred payments. Remember, Brian, we talked about that. We could offer that on the table as well. Just kind of spicing the pot a little bit more, and it's still a loan from the city. What do you think?
Well, I think that's exactly why Sarah didn't open a restaurant across the street, because when they went to price out the hoods, they went from $10,000 to $50,000, and they're like, it's just not, like, it would take us 20 years to pay it off, but,
I thought a hood is so.
right. So, I have, I guess, concerns of using taxpayer dollars to fund a item
Right. And her,
in a building that,
and in the loan, she didn't say the loan be specifically for the hood.
sure.
Right, but
Yeah, I don't,
But that was one
from a
thing.
loan perspective, I don't care what she uses that. But I was like, if she's looking for the city to buy, that's not gonna,
now what's,
I'm not sure it'd be even legal.
I'm not sure it would be either.
Refresh my memory. What is the situation with the deferred payment or
we offered them 6 months. deferred
6
payment.
months?
Yeah.
And that was really just to allow them to get some cash flow going first.
Do other cities offer?
I tried. I contacted La Crosse, but they didn't call me back because that's where they opened their other restaurant to see if they got any. But they get to contact me back on that. People do offer revolving loans, obviously, that we have, cities do.
Sure.
But I haven't heard of a city offering a grant for a specific restaurant
Right.
coming in, especially one the size of Zumbrota.
How big of a loan have we offered others in the past?
Like, this is the biggest one, I think, that I've known
50 is
of.
the most we've ever offered.
Part of the reason to go this large was that the previous loan that, I don't remember who it was, applied for, they decided they didn't want it or need it. Yeah, Tranquility Barn, and then we decided that we needed to get these dollars out there and operating as they should be. So we decided we would kind of double up on this one.
Yeah. Oh, 50 was generous.
Right. That's kind of what I
1%,
felt.
I'm like, there's no place they could.
And the second time I spoke to her, she was grateful for that. I think it's just the initial shock of not getting a grant of some kind. Took them by surprise.
And
But it's-
tax abatement's not a,
Well, Kurt discussed that a little bit. I think,
Yeah.
did you talk to Ron about that a little bit this morning too?
Yeah, we talked about tax abatements as a
Mhm.
possibility for that building in that specific spot in that building for the,
Mhm.
and one thing we don't, with established business in Zumbrota, it's hard to offer tax incentives or anything because how do you say this? They may have gotten that when they opened up,
Right.
Do they get tax abatement if they don't own the building?
Well, the tenants, landlords would get a tax abatement, so.
Pass that along in the rent.
They could work out an agreement, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that,
They don't already have one, do they, for their building?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think we don't have hardly any of those out right now. Couple,
Mhm.
3 maybe.
And I don't know at what dollar amount tax abatement, you have to get to a certain dollar amount to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, when we mentioned it to Kim, that's what she said too, that she didn't know that this would get to the dollar amount that
Yep.
the tax payment would be worthwhile,
Right.
and everything that goes into that. The
Right.
cost of putting that together.
Right.
Well, and I think that's why that building is always sat with the prospect of being exactly that, a restaurant, but I'm not sure, it's never been finished out that way because it costs a lot of money to finish out.
Well, just like Kurt said with tax abatement, there's a fine line there where you don't offer that because an existing business. I think that same thing is true about 50,000 max for a revolving loan because you don't want to, because another business decided not to because of the cost of that type of equipment. So I guess I would make a motion that we leave it at 50,000 with the same terms, deferred payment, all that interest rate that we offered before, but not increase the loan amount based on those thoughts.
But we're just gonna leave it. Do we even have to do anything? Just leave it on the table or
Maybe you're right.
give her a second shot at accepting it?
Yeah, we were just kind of brainstorming at what we could do if we needed to sweeten it up a little bit more. Maybe we don't need to, maybe it's not possible to, we don't want to chew up a lot of that revolving loan money either, because it's supposed to be gap financing and available for other businesses as well, so we don't want to.
I think the good thing about this is that it is, they do have a good business plan and they have a solid, so they're not nearly the risk that maybe others were. But to get Sarah caught up, when Kurt called back, what was her name, Lindsay? Jennifer. That she didn't realize it would be a loan, not a grant. So, and she was talking about how expensive hoods were, and I was like, yep.
We don't have another restaurant because
So,
That she thought, well, maybe the city should buy it, the hood,
oh,
which we've pretty
That
much.
sounds good.
sure.
Yeah,
we'll
mine
do
too.
it. Yeah, my hoods were $100,000. So, yeah. Yeah, it was too much for my blood. I guess my thoughts are, I thought $50,000 was not enough, but we need a restaurant. We want a restaurant. Everybody wants a restaurant. What else could we do? That's kind of my thought.
And kind of the discussion before you got here was Kurt had talked about, Kurt and I had kind of brainstormed a little bit, kind of ran it by Kim, and if we could go a little bit more, like 70, 75,000. Just as a question, not as a,
Right.
That hasn't been passed along or anything.
Because how much do we have in the revolving loan fund?
There's, one of them was 100, I think there's two funds, one of them's 170 plus, and there's another one pretty close to that as well.
Right, so I mean, we've got some money there.
Well, maybe this is how we get a restaurant in town.
That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
If we push it
I
over
know.
the hump.
But I think Brian said the reasoning to go so high was because the last one that was, well, you could explain it.
Yeah, the Tranquility Barn decided not to use their funds, so then we decided we would kind of ramp this up, make this a bigger amount than what we normally approved. And, 50 is as big as we've done from that particular revolving loan fund before, so, but.
I'm just taking into account how expensive everything is, and 50,000 doesn't go very far, is all I'm saying. So.
Right, I agree with you. But I also agree with Brian and, first of all, I totally think the city taking any kind of financial responsibility on purchasing equipment is absolutely stupid, if not illegal. And secondly, devil's advocate here a little bit, what does the landlord's responsibility in all this? I mean, there has to be some negotiations. They can't just say, here's a blank canvas, you fill it, you make it, and then if something happens, then who owns it? Is Jennifer going to take the hood out when she moves her restaurant to someplace else? Probably not. So, I mean, there is an advantage here for the landlords. That this is a vast building improvement that somebody else could come in and not have to expensive. I'm just kind of throwing things out here, but.
I did contact the building owner. mentioned a couple things like leasehold improvements. They were very adamant that they've got it, a lease set in motion. It's going to be very good for the business. So I don't
That's
know how far
good.
to pry into that anyways, but I will say I was nervous to call Jennifer again on Friday, but she was very receptive, and they have a designer who designs their restaurants and is going to get started. From what it sounds like it's going to be a go from my aspect into it right now, and they're just going to get their finances together. But I don't want to get people's hopes.
No,
I think that's right. Right, if I can jump in, sorry.
sure.
You know, the offer's there. If at some point they can demonstrate a greater need, you know, and provide the documentation that, hey, this is a bigger gap than they can fill with 50,000, then maybe take another look at it at that point as an EDA.
Yeah, it's certainly receptive to that.
Because it would be good to have a restaurant in
Mhm.
town, and everybody wants this. And but I think, you know, we're talking about dollars. You know, there should be a demonstrated need. I think that's what you guys look at
Mhm.
when you put these proposals together. So if it's a bigger gap than they thought, and it gets to that point, well, okay, let's take a good closer look.
Well, and that was part of our approval, was to make sure that they submitted their financing and that they had it all lined up and everything. So they could submit that and we could take a look at that. And if there's a bigger gap, then we could potentially consider more dollars.
And do some more.
Yep.
Send that, yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Because we have money to spend. Right?
We do have money to spend.
So would it be better at this point to say, here it is, this is the best we can do at this point, but if you run into dire straits, you know, come back to us and we will, you know, reevaluate a second loan or such, or do we bump it up now?
Well, I think if they submit their financing package, so they've already, sounds like they're pretty close to having all their sources and uses of funds figured out. So if they could submit that and we can see, you know, how much they're investing themselves and how much financing they've got lined up or committed to, and then see what that gap is, then I think that'd give us a clearer direction as to what we need to step up to help them. Maybe 50 is enough, maybe it's 60, or maybe it's more than that. But until they submit that, I don't know that we really know. And that was one of the criteria for approving it.
Yep,
So
I never saw that kind of, oh, I see. I thought you guys saw that documentation.
they had put together some preliminary numbers for their proposal,
In their application.
but we wanted that, see the commitment from their lender that they had financing. So if they could do a sources and uses now that was updated with that commitment and with what they expect to invest, then that would, I think, get us a little closer to that number where Brian's suggesting might be the gap.
Somehow word that into a motion, or did you already?
Did you get that, Miranda?
Did you make that a motion?
Are you awake?
She can listen to it again. It's recorded.
I can hear you, but the Brian's corner, I don't know if the microphone's not picking up that well, but when you guys talk, it doesn't pick it up super great.
Okay. So I guess I would make a motion that we go back to Blue Duck with the request that they submit their sources and uses of funds, including their financing commitment, so that we can determine the potential gap financing that would be needed.
Got it.
With the ability to increase, like, yeah.
Yep, which could include an increase in the EDA loan.
Got it.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Questions? But that doesn't say that there's any effect on the 50 already being offered. That's
Still on the table.
be going higher if they show the right paperwork. Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let you take care of that, Kurt?
Yeah. I will take care of it.
Okay. Next item. New daycare in the senior center.
Yeah, this is here of somebody who's interested in doing daycare. This has been an issue in many communities around Minnesota, like Zumbrota. There is a space that's opened that used to be Cougar Care in the bottom of the senior center. And the senior center, people who run it are very anxious to open kind of like a daycare center in there. So the kids could interact with the residents of the senior center, which would be great. The place is already set up as a classroom. There's bathrooms, there's kitchenettes, there's multiple entrances and exits. The kids not only would interact, but they would get maintenance is available, food's available. It's just finding, I've been in contact with First Children's Finance and other entities trying to figure out how do we get somebody in there to start what could be, a very positive thing for the city of Zumbrota. In January, Munira and I, who's my coworker, are going to send out a kind of a questionnaire to all the licensed daycare workers in Zumbrota, asking, what some needs are, how to get information, just some overall, and seeing if anybody be interested in maybe opening kind of like a daycare center.
I think that's such an interesting thing
Solar
because
salon.
it was, who came here and showed us they did this in another city? I can't remember who it was, but anyway, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but they got single home providers to come together and rent the space so that they had backup. It's much cheaper for them to do that, I think, because then they've got backup, they've got shared expenditures, they've got, and getting someone to take it out of their home and put it into.
Yeah, they call it a pod system, so you
Yeah.
have your different pods. The only drawback is it would be great to open this. I think Zumbrota's down 150 spots for daycare from what First Children's Finance has said. And if you take somebody, like, let's say Brian's wife stops doing it in her house and comes to the pod system.
Okay, that's not
We're
adding
not
anything.
gaining, but yet it maybe will catch on.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe we would add some more spots for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah, but just to kind of put it out there in public, and that's when we're sending out the letters to see, even kids who are fresh out of high school can get in the industry and start helping out and make it a decent wage.
I like the fact that you're reaching out to the daycare providers already in the city,
Yeah.
because the competition could be, a corporate daycare center type thing.
Yeah.
And
I
But
have
that
been-
might be the only option for something in there, so.
And I haven't called all the daycare centers in Rochester, but several, just seeing if you want to open a branch in Zumbrota, we got a spot, come on in. And I haven't got a lot of takers on that. It's, so, yeah,
What about
maybe kind of
Red
put in your ear.
Does Red Wing have corporate
They do,
daycares?
they do. I gave my card to someone at the fair one night. I was sitting at the demo. They were talking about daycare right behind me. I said, tell you what, if you're interested in coming to Zumbrota, let me know.
I'm just wondering, because there may be a smaller, they don't have 50 locations, they have
Right.
3, and maybe they would be more
Yep.
apt to.
Yeah, I'll do the research. I'll start calling around Red Wing next week.
And I think the missing part is more infant daycare.
Yeah.
In-home providers that take infants have less spots to offer for other kids. And so if a daycare center, a corporate one would be geared towards infants, that would free up a lot of other spots in the community, in-home daycares, between the infant and 3-year-old, because a lot of the 3-year-olds go to Cougar Care at that point. I think it's 3-year-olds now.
Yeah, they can't go there until they're 3.
Yep. 3 and potty trained and all that good stuff. So kind of the sweet spot for in-home providers is that 2-3-year-old range as well. So it's the infants that get to be harder. Speaking
So
from
the
experience.
state dollars for that, I don't know, what I thought I saw in one of those budgets was, it's not just a need in Sabroda, Minnesota, but it's a need throughout Minnesota. And I thought that there was some push for early childhood education.
Yeah, there's dollars available once you're gonna get it rolling.
Just maybe another one to reach out to. It's called Anna's Bananas Daycare. And they're in Northfield, Farmington, and Valley. And I don't know for sure that the daycare and preschool. So some of them are just daycare. So that might not fill that 1 to 3-year-old grouping. That might be.
Okay. I guess just a.
Yeah, it's been the number one deal on the list for years. You'll see that on the what's the plan you guys are that you just put together, the
Annual
report. It's still on there as number one, followed closely with industrial park.
Yeah.
Restaurant.
And well, the rest hopefully will satisfy at least part of that one soon.
Okay, anything else? Those will move on. Potential new board member, see in your last sheet, Mr. Hawley indicated he would love to be part of the EDA. So I don't know, is that something that we act on, or will you guys wait till next time?
Any objections?
Act on it, I think it'd be part of the appointments then, January 5th. The mayor would put Bob in there as the appointments for the EDA. If you didn't act on it, I suppose you would have waited until the next meeting or whatever. Yeah, I saw that the other beck and call, Connie.
Bob called me up today and asked me about the position.
Oh, yeah.
Told him what I thought. He still sent a letter after that.
Would he be replacing somebody, or did we have an open?
No, not you.
No, it's me.
Where are you going? Oh,
I'm
Kick him out.
outlived my usefulness.
Kick him out.
No, I think it's actually 15, 16. I filled in, or I took somebody's position and finished for him. And then I had 2 full terms after that, so a long time. Anyway, I'll make a motion that Mr. Hawley be approved to fill the open position on the EDA starting January 1st.
Who's going to be president when you go?
You know
Did we
what?
vote on that?
I think it's you.
I don't think so. I don't think I can be.
Was that a
I'm
motion?
liaison.
I think you open,
They have to move up to president. Isn't that always how it goes?
Just like the presidency.
it's fine.
She's not here, Lindsay.
don't tell her, Miranda, it'll be a surprise.
I think we always elected officers first meeting.
Okay. I'm just wondering if we had to do it before.
They put Bob right in there.
Yeah, Bob could do it.
Chairman of Habitat, chairman of the EDA.
Bob's not here.
It was voted on before you got here.
Do it all.
I'll second your Bob Holly nomination. Oh, okay.
Did you get that, Miranda? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Mr. Hawley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Anything else? Reports, Kurt. Any other comments? Concerns?
Town is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
It's very
walked down there
festive.
today.
You walk down there and heard that music.
I was laying in bed and heard last night.
Yeah, I would. One time they shut it off.
I don't know. I did not.
I walked out
It
of
is
coffee
pretty
mill
loud.
today to Mommy was kissing Santa Claus, so.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Oops.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, good luck, everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all your
Last
service.
meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Wow.
Thank you.
Doesn't he have to,
An award or
but doesn't he have to be
something.
here for the next one to open the meeting
Yeah,
and then swear in somebody and then,
yeah.
because you're,
It's Mr. Mayor's job, or the city council person is the one that swears in people.
Yeah,
I got an answer for everything.
I think there's
You know
a
that I
person
have
there
to throw out one more singer.
Or the vice president.
No. You know exactly where I'm going, don't you?
I do.
At least we lasted a little longer on this board than we did on the school
Yeah,
board.
we did. We're not placing blame on either one of us, so. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Now
Good
you have
luck.
to visit me more at the liquor store.